I know I promised not to spill the beans on this or anything, but I must let it out. You may or may not have heard of a relatively popular YouTube series called Super Mario Logan, a show which Mario characters, or sometimes other Nintendo characters, or random puppets, have wacky and sometimes risque conflicts that need some to be dissolved in some weird way. The show was mostly watched by 13-year-old boys, despite the humor being a bit too suggestive. I myself, a 15-year-old girl, yes, I know I am sort of weird, but that's besides the point in all honesty. Super Mario Logan was still a huge hit, earning millions, and I mean millions of views each day. Now having almost 5 million subscribers, it's quite crazy seeing a YouTuber who films himself playing with dolls or would have so many fans, even though most of them said that they were 13-year-old boys. I know I don't mean to brag or anything, but I am a good friend of Logan 30acre, the owner of Super Mario Logan channel. Ever since Logan started a Patreon, he has been getting so good at amount of money. It wasn't something to write at home about it or anything, but it was a bittersweet to know that Logan has fans who really care about him, but always I am his top Patreon. Giving him so well is over $1,000 a month, which I really don't care for if I'm wasting Christmas money only for this. Now it was a part of the reward tier. Logan has personally given me his phone number. He occasionally sometimes FaceTimes me this. It was a pretty cool experience. Actually, started talking to someone who I am such a big fan of. What could I be better? My parents weren't at home, so today I got to chat with Logan for a bit. I had recently told Logan via FaceTime any upcoming videos. Logan laughed and told me a couple of ideas he planned, then politely asked Logan if he could show me a video that hasn't been released yet. All of a sudden, Logan just blanked out. His breathing became more heavy. I asked Logan what was up, but he didn't give me an answer. All he did was hang up. I was confused to say the least. I'd never seen Logan this anxious before. Seconds later, I received a pop-up notification from Gmail from Logan. Dear name withheld. Listen, I have been stressed out for months and months. Talking to you only has been made a deep secret more clear to you. This YouTube thing is seriously not working out for me anymore. I tried to gather up the crew to make a video, but it's just not any video. A video express any emotions on the situation I'm dealing with right now. Please, whatever you do, never, and I mean never tell anybody about this video. You have to promise me, name withheld, on the behalf of my fanbase and me. Logan 30acre. At the end of the email was a link to an unlisted YouTube video, not the Super Mario Logan channel, but on another channel made by Logan. I have never heard of the channel called Super Mario Logan 1994. Not his original channel, but this. The video had no views, obviously, but the channel also had no subscribers, and even the default YouTube icon and channel banner, I thought it was closed down. The video in question was called SML Movie Saying Our Goodbyes to Jeffy. It was a very unusual title. Usually the title of an SML movie or short is just the character's name, or what the video is about after the character's name. It didn't have the usual exclamation mark at the end of the title. At the description of the video wasn't any less stranger. It just read, after fans' many requests, Jeffy finally gets killed off. What the hell? I said softly to myself. Logan loved Jeffy, not to mention Jeffy was the main reason of Logan researching his numbers insane of views and subscribers. It seemed extremely out of place for him to kill off the most popular SML character. I decided to stop letting my worried behavior get the hold of me, and I just started the video. The video started off really right away, lighthearted. It was a typical SML video should. Jeffy was patting his diaper as usual, and Mario told Jeffy in a serious tone and voice to stop. Jeffy ignored Mario and obviously continued smacking his groin. Mario told Jeffy to be a good boy because he was going now to the store, and he promised Jeffy that if he was good, he would pick out a toy for him at Toys R Us. Jeffy responded with, "Okay, Daddy," and Mario just went out of the door. That was when the scene started to feel out of place. The camera was focused on Jeffy for an uncomfortable amount of time. It was silent for about 30 seconds. No jokes, no music, no sound effects, nothing. I just felt shaky as the scene went on. Jeffy barely even moved an inch. At first I thought this was a mistake and Logan just forgot to stop the camera while recording. After all, this was an unreleased episode, so I expected to be edited very well. Suddenly Jeffy moved his hands to his face. Jeffy let out a huge scream. The scream happened so suddenly, it nearly gave me a heart attack. Jeffy ran to the kitchen where Chef Pee-Pee was cooking a meal. As usual, the Bavarian music played as the scene transitioned. Chef Pee-Pee was making an eligible-looking dinner as usual until Jeffy ran into the kitchen, screaming at the top of his lungs. "Wait, what? Jeffy, why are you screaming?" Chef Pee-Pee asked in a clearly concerned voice. Jeffy started to shake onto the floor. He was foaming out of the mouth, and you could clearly see the tears in Jeffy's face. He didn't look so ordinary droplets of water, or the fake eyelids they just put on the characters to make them look sad. The tears looked realistic. Chef Pee-Pee looked down at the floor in utter shock as the scene ended. The next scene opened up with a shot of the hospital. Jeffy was in a hospital bed on life support. His ECG monitor was barely beeping, and it sounded like he was going to be about to flatline at any moment. Jeffy looked grotesque, like he was severely thin. His eyes looked like a ghoul, and there were wrinkles all around his eyes and mouth. Jeffy even whimpered and coughed. It didn't sound like those fake coughs that it sounded like he was in pain. It was realistic. I almost thought I could hear someone cough in my own room. Mario and his wife Rosalina were standing next to Jeffy, and they were both softly whimpered. No music was playing. The couple both silently sobbed for a while. It was so sad to watch. I even felt like crying myself. Just then the doctor came in. It was Brooklyn Tea Guy, one of my favorite characters. I was expecting him to lighten up the mood, and I hoped that he cracked one of his sarcastic jokes like this. Well, 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 Jeffy as dead as fall, guys. No, seriously, he is DEAD. But unfortunately, he only made the scene feel more dismal. I'm sorry, Brooklyn Guy said in a depressing voice. We've done everything we could, but he's gone. He looked down at the floor, trying to avoid eye contact with Mario and Rosalina. Please say our final goodbyes to Jeffy. And with that said, Brooklyn Guy walked out of the room. Mario and Rosalina both gradually inched their way over towards Jeffy. Their sobbing was louder and closer they got. Goodbye, Jeffy. Mario spoke. Rosalina violently broke into tears before finishing off her farewell. Her crying didn't sound like the way she cries in regular episode. Her crying sounded like as if her voice actor was actually crying instead. The next scene ended with a shot of Jeffy's ECG monitor went flat. The next scene read to the red couch where the characters usually sit on. Mario and Rosalina were both sitting there, and the atmosphere of the scene didn't look right. It was dark and dreary. A couple of both looked at each other and sighed. The sighing soon turned into quiet whimpers. Rosalina started to cry loudly, but Mario was just sobbing faintly. The crying continued on for a minute. The scene then began to distort where the static interfered coming on the screen every now and then. The scene started to slowly turn black and white, like an old movie from the 1920s. Rosalina's sobbing got louder and more distorted. I could even barely tell if she was crying anymore. Mario, on the other hand, was actually crying. His voice stayed the same as Rosalina's voice, but only worsened. Jeffy, why did he have to go? Then Rosalina Radiohead's Creep started playing in the background. Mario said all distraught as he cried, although Mario's crying sounded like his normal crying and less realistic. Rosalina also said something, but I couldn't understand her though. As previously mentioned, her voice was too distorted. Mario continued to cry. Rosalina stopped crying though. She just sat there, not feeling any emotion. She didn't even turn to look at Mario crying. She just stared menacingly at the camera, as if she knew I was watching. I needed to pause the video. What the actual hell am I watching? I exclaimed to myself. This wasn't an SML video at all. It feels more like a sick joke pulled off by Logan. But why would he make this? Logan stated that the video was to express himself. If it doesn't seem like he's doing it, it seems like he linked me the video just to scare him. I was praying to once the video ended, there would be a message like, "You just got wrecked, loser," or something along those lines. My hand started to tremble as I played it on the mouse and clicked off the play button. As the scene of crying finally ended, it faded to black. It then cut from the room of that episode, the secret door. The bodies were there as always, but it was zoomed in on Mario, laying on the floor with the shotgun next to him. It revealed that he had killed himself, and it showed his brain matter and blood on the walls. I almost threw up. It was too detailed, and the brain matter, the blood, even the body. The music then stopped, and there was loud static interferes, and it startled me to death. I was looking at my hand near my chest as I was breathing slowly. I couldn't take this anymore. I really wanted to stop, but I needed to know whether or not it was a joke. I pressed on. The static only lasted for about 25 seconds or so, until it finally stopped and showed to something to this day I cannot explain. The scene transitioned to a distorted Jeffy's body. The body was mangled, both his eyes were ripped out, and was replaced by an empty black holes with sockets. There was even stuffing on him as he was torn to pieces. The music playing in the background was the piano played normally, except the other instruments were being played glitched out and hard to listen to. A slight murmur was faintly audible. It sounded almost out there. Jeffy was whimpering as he was in the hospital bed from before. The camera zoomed in on Jeffy's sliced up face, almost resembled that of a crime scene. I couldn't believe my eyes as my hands over my mouth as I breathed heavily. I shuddered like an earthquake. I just wished of all this bad nightmare to end so I can wake up. After that, the scene slowly faded back and the music begins to play. With the black text background appeared, read, "You made me do this." Those were the texts that fade away along with the music and the video ends. There wasn't anything after that, not even the SML question. I was in distraught when I wailed and cried in the corner as I laid on my stomach for a while. Once I came back, the video was gone and it had the "this video does not exist" message on my screen. I tried refreshing it, but I got the same message. I got so scared and confused. I got on my phone and was told my parents to come home as soon as possible. My mom responded with "why," and I replied with crying pleadingly. My mom hung up quickly as possible, and she sent me a text that said, "We're coming home ASAP." I sat on my bed, traumatized, waiting for them to come home. Once my parents came home, I ran to them and giving them a big hug. They hugged me back as I bawled my eyes out. The day has passed, and I decided to send Logan an email about the video. This is what he has to say. "Hey, please listen to this email as thoroughly as you possibly can. I just want to start off by saying how sorry I am that you had to see that video. Showing you all that was a big mistake. I don't know what went through my head when I made it. It was a good idea to link that tasteless video to you, but it's not my own fault. Now I want to be honest with you. I kind of lied, and I was just in a hurry to write that other email that I sort of rushed it out an explanation. The truth is, that video you saw was made as a response to my haters since Jeffy's first appearance. I had already planned an episode to kill him off, but it got too real and I decided that it was a good idea to edit the video a bit. Give it a bit of pizzas, but I wanted this video to have a bit more of a darker tone, and the Jeffy haters started popping up and just gave me more reasons to finish the particular video. But at the end, the video didn't seem right, so I unlisted the video and put it up on my account, as I was originally going to upload videos just for safekeeping. However, after thinking for a while, I deleted the video, although I think it was too late. You already watched it anyways. P.S. I'm not going to re-upload it. And that, my little pretties, was saying our goodbyes to Jeffy, a SML lost movie creepypasta written by HotKaty. HotKaty, sorry. My final thoughts on the story. I actually have heard of this story from a couple of narrations, to be honest. Like, I remember I heard of this story from, well, Shadow Reader back on his old channel when he uploaded this one back before it got terminated. And I mean, I actually found this story to be a pretty good one. I will admit that there were a few issues that Shadow did point out on why he didn't really care for this story. But to me personally, I didn't really think it was a bad creepypasta at all. I mean, I will go over with the issues of it in a minute, but one thing I would have to say is that the grammar's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. The grammar's absolutely beautiful. It was very nice, well written. It was beautiful, really well made, and I definitely like how the storyline of it went out. Basically, this episode was basically what's going on through Logan's head, especially when the Jeffy haters, tell Logan just to pardon me about that, just to kill off Jeffy. I mean, this is actually somewhat believable in a sense because, before Logan got the cease and desist letter, that's actually what's starting to go on was, after he killed Mama Luigi, he lost a ton of subscribers and then he started using a new character known as Jeffy. Now, I did hear a couple narrations of this story, so I thought, you know what, I would go ahead and narrate this story. I didn't think this story was a bad one at all. I actually found this story to have like a good concept for what it is. So, oh, pardon me about that. I burped. But I'm going to say right now that this actually has a pretty good it's a pretty good episode actually about, how Logan wanted to kill Jeffy off or something. I mean, if he wanted to kill Jeffy off, this episode could be possible. But I'm going to sit here and say this right now that if Logan got rid of Jeffy, let's just say he got rid of Jeffy now, Logan would lose a ton of subscribers. Like, take a look at when he got rid of Mama Luigi. He lost a ton of subscribers when he started, including Jeffy in there and all that. I mean, it's a pretty good, story for what this is. It's pretty much believable in a sense. I mean, I haven't read this story in a while until just recently, which is just in the video, to be honest. I mean, I really do find that the concept of this story seemed to be, rather good in a sense. I honestly remember, watching Shadow's narration of this. I mean, there was a couple issues with the story that Shadow did mention, which I think I should make a mention of them. But before that, I want to say, I mean, I find this to be more of a bit of a creepypasta and a feels pasta, but it's mostly a feels pasta, despite the fact that, the subject matters that were in there. I mean, it's a pretty good concept. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. It's a pretty good concept for how it should go out, in a sense. Like, I mean, I remember hearing some narrations of this story, and sorry if you're hearing that noise. My dog is, wanting to come in, so I'm going to have to go and open my bedroom door to let him in. But if I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think this story was a bad one at all. I honestly thought this one was a great story. Like, I mean, Logan deleting the video just because of some controversy going on with Jeffy. I mean, yeah, when Jeffy was introduced to SML, I will admit that there was a lot of controversy on that, but I think it's the same thing with SMG4's Maggie, but I don't think I ever did an SMG4 creepypasta, but I'll consider maybe writing one in the near future. Now, the issues that Shadow did point out with the story, which that's what I'm going to do now, there are a couple issues with this story that didn't really work out well that I think I should, go out of my way and, explain what the issues are. I mean, but one thing I would have to say was that how the story went out, it kind of just went from 1 to 100 and just end up being like your typical Lost Episode creepypasta. But with SML in it, it's like one of the things that I don't really know what it is, but for some reason there's something in this story that kind of didn't sit well with Shadow, but that's just Shadow's opinion. But for me personally, I didn't think the concept of the story or how the story went out was too bad. I mean, yeah, there were parts of the story that didn't really work out and didn't sit with me, but this is just my opinion though. One of the main issues I have to point out with this story is that there's like cliches in this story, such as, hyper-realistic gore, gore. Well, there was gore, there was blood, death, and black eyes. Those don't really work with creepypastas nowadays, so that's one of the cliches that I kind of want to point out. They don't really work in creepypastas, but in SML, but I didn't think it would. It didn't really exactly work out too great for me, but it didn't make it so bad where the story would end up being garbage. It's not a garbage story. If the cliches were removed, then maybe the story would be somewhat understandable in the sense, and it would help out if the cliches were not incorporated in this story. And I'm gonna be honest with the ending. The ending of the story, that involved Mario taking his own life, and I really didn't think the ending was, necessary or anything. I really wish that the video could have, not video, but I really wish the story would have ended with, well, with, what is it? Oh, yeah, with, just Jeffy dying. I really wish it would have just ended with, Jeffy dying, but other than that, the story was not a bad story. The author managed to put his or her time and effort into the story, and at least it's pretty has a good concept and all. I'm gonna be honest. I'm okay with. I don't hate Jeffy. I think he's an okay character. Yeah, sure, Jeffy could be annoying, but I don't think Jeffy's like a bad character. I think he's like a relatively okay character for what it is. I mean, yeah, sure. I really wish that the ending could have been, better, but at the same time, this story was not a terrible concept. It does maybe the ending needs to be polished up and all, but that's just me though. You guys might have your own opinions on this story, so that's perfectly understandable. You guys may have your own opinions on this story. But with all due sincerity, this story it's not a terrible story. It does need some improvement here or there, but I could definitely say that the author did his or her work on the story to make it readable. The concept seemed pretty good and all that. But the second half of the story just didn't really make, it just fell flat. The first part of the story was pretty good, but I really wish it would have just ended with, Jeffy dying, and that would be the ending of the video. But yet again, that's just me. But like I'm going to say, this is simply my own personal opinion. If you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas, and this is just my personal thoughts. My final rating of this story would have to be a 7 out of 10. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 because the story seemed pretty interesting. The grammar's well done. It has a great concept for what this story is. It was beautifully well written with the grammar. But the only issues I would have to say is, the ending wasn't really that satisfying and it was just cliched. And I just wish it would have ended with just Jeffy dying in the hospital. I also would have wished the cliches weren't really too many and incorporated in it. But yet again, that's just my opinion. You guys might have your own opinions on this, pasta. You guys feel free to, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below because, you might have a different opinion. Overall, 7 out of 10. It's not a bad story. It does need some improvements, but, other than that, it was an alright story. Maybe not the best SML story I've read, but, there's other ones out there. Anyways, what did you guys personally think about this creepypasta? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done person to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you're brand new here to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.